the mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank, and like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
Hello and welcome back to Chasing Excellence, a show about chasing what truly matters. My name is Patrick Cummings. As always, I'm here with Ben Bergeron. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you, Ben?
Doing great. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you, folks, for tuning in. We've got a listener question this week all about how to build accountability to ourselves. First, quick reminder, if you'd like to get a question into a future episode, the best and most efficient way is chasingexcellence.email. We send out an email on the weekends with a link to a form. You can submit as many questions across the 5 factors that you've got. And while you're there, consider upgrading to the Chase Club, where you can get some ad-free episodes, additional content, book clubs, challenges, conversation, etc. chasingexcellence.email. The link is in the show notes. So we've got one question. We're going to spend a whole episode on one single question. It's from Bill. And this is the question. In the episode you guys did, 5 characteristics of high performers, you mentioned briefly accountability to yourself. Personally, I just started paying for a trainer because every time I've signed up for F3 or some free physical accountability, I have not kept my commitment to it. I feel like paying for a trainer is because I have a weakness regarding accountability to myself. I have not thought of accountability as anything but being accountable to somebody else who holds me accountable. I have been blessed to have accountability in many modes of life, but when I heard you say that phrase, accountability to yourself, it became painfully obvious that accountability to myself is a necessary component to chasing excellence, and one that is a big weakness for me personally. I'd love to hear you reflect more on accountability in general and accountability to one's self specifically. Before we do that, I'm gonna give you the floor in a second, but I just want to do a quick reminder for listeners. July 16th, we did put out that episode about the high performance. We talked about 5 characteristics that high performers have, which are have ridiculous work ethic, be accountable, always ask what's the most important thing right now, take ownership, and initiate. If you want to listen to that episode, just go back to July 16th. You'll find it. What he was referring to is when we talked about accountable, that second bullet point there, be accountable. We spent most of our time talking about accountability to a team or to a mission or to an objective, an external accountability, sort of like what Bill is referring to. So I really like this question because it gives us an excuse to sort of return back to that conversation, flip it a little bit, and talk about what accountability looks like when you don't have, or not when you don't have, but in addition to that external accountability. What do we do about building and enhancing our ability to be accountable to ourselves? So I just want to give that a little bit of context and a little bit of background to what Bill is referring to. First thing first, just give us an initial thought on the question, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so I think Bill's the man. The level of awareness and vulnerability of like, whoa, first off, accountable to other people, love it. The recognition, I haven't been accountable to myself, but the way that I overcome that is by creating levels of accountability to other people. Like I know I should be training, I'm not, so I get a personal trainer so that I'm accountable to other people. But then the vulnerability to admit and say, like, this is a weakness. Like, love all of that. Where this falls into play in terms of our conversation is when we talk about connection. So our 5 factors of health: training, eating, sleeping, thinking, and connecting. We have lots of conversations about all of those. The connection one usually falls into the conversation about connecting with other people. Mm-hmm. That is one of the 3 pieces of connection. Connection actually is connecting with yourself, with others, and with nature. And there's the science to back up all 3 of these things. And when we speak about the connection with yourself, it is the understanding of what sets you on fire. What are your passions? What are your values? Values means what is important. I don't even like to use that word anymore because it's so overused. But basically, it's like, what do you feel is important in your life? Well, if you say that what is important to you is your health and your family, great. That's awesome. Like that's phenomenal just to be able to have that level of connection to yourself and truly know that. And what this means is you're doing this on a fairly, it's not a shallow process to get to this. It's a deep level of introspection to be able to get to truly what is important to me, truly, truly, truly. And pulling back, 3, 4, 5, 6 dominoes of why is that important? And, I think that if we all did this far enough dominoes back, we'd all get to pretty close to the same thing, which is we want to live a well-lived life. We want a life of fulfillment, and we want to get to our deathbed and be like, I'm really happy with the way I spent my life. Like that's really what I think we'll all get to some derivative of that. It might be a little bit different, but I think that's where we're going to get to. So then you go, okay, if I want to get to that, that deathbed exercise, which if you listen to the Stoics or the Buddhists, or it is one of the more powerful things we can do is think about our own death, because it gives a lot more purpose and meaning to our life, and it makes us want to do more intentionally to maximize our life. Well, what we'll come up with is certain things that we find that are important. And what our contention is on this show is that a big part of that is probably most of us are probably going to come up with health is important to us. In order to live a maximally fulfilled, maximally productive, with passion and purpose and connection with other people, we want to have our health. The old saying is the person with health can have 1,000 wishes. You can basically go wherever you want. The person without health has but one wish. The example I've given before is like there's the mega millionaire, on sitting on his yacht in the south of France with put your drink of choice in your hand or whatever it might be, and listen, all the luxuries of life that you could possibly imagine. But if he has sore throat, strep throat, all he's thinking about is the next time he has to swallow. Like he doesn't get to live life the way we want to. So that health thing is so important to us. What we want to do is, if we're saying health, if we're saying it's family, whatever is the thing that we say is the most important thing to us, that's a great level of awareness. That's cool. But that isn't enough. What we need is the accountability. What we need is, you've sent over an article about this, but I love the term, is the congruence. The congruency in our lives, which is the alignment of beliefs and action. So you believe that health is really important to you. You believe that your family is really important to you. At that point, it basically comes down to cool, show me your calendar.
Yeah.
And we'll see if you're living a life, if you're holding yourself accountable to those things. And if you're saying it's health and you're saying it's family, but you're out the door, within 25 minutes of waking up, and you spend the whole day in the office, and you come home after your family's had dinner just in time to kiss your kids goodnight and rinse, wash, repeat that for 5 nights a week, I would challenge that. Where's the health? Where's the family? That doesn't sound like it to me. It sounds like career is, and earning potential. And, I'm not going to insert the next things of it's ego driven or whatever it is, but there's a misalignment there. And this is where accountability, congruency, and alignment come in. And this is, in terms of what we are trying to do, is really pop the lid off of what you will chase by default. And we want to have a greater level of awareness and intentionality so we can put the proper actions in place. Because when we do that, this is actually a big part of health. we talked about this in a recent show, but if you don't do that, your stress in your life rises. You living a life without alignment, you living an incongruent life is stressful. It's hard. There's a paragraph in the article that you sent, which I'm going to read.
Cool.
A person who is in a state of incongruence may feel a sense of isolation or feeling of exhaustion. People who are experiencing midlife crises are often those who get trapped in this scenario. Because of the pressures of life in terms of family, finances, and health, these people often lose track of the things that really matter most in life. They also tend to block out any connections they have with their loved ones, thus leading to losing themselves. This is in terms of, the way we write our prescription in terms of health. Connection is at the end, connection with yourself, connection with others, connection with nature. That doesn't mean it's the least important.
Yeah, right.
What we mean is it might be one of the hardest to do, which is why we put it last. Because if you have the other ones dialed in, your likelihood of being successful attempting to do this goes up huge. If you have been doing the gym thing for 5 or 6 days a week for 6 years, if you've been eating clean for a decade, if you've slept 8 hours for month after month after month, if you've been focusing on the ability to handle the minor inconveniences and handling hard better, now you're kind of in a position that we can think about these, that we can actually move towards these things.
Mm-hmm.
What is most important to me, and how am I going to act upon those things? So, I give Bill a lot of credit for his awareness. I do think that not everybody has this in every facet of their lives. I bet Bill has this in a lot of areas. I bet he has in a lot of areas. If he needs to hire a personal trainer to create the environment of which it makes it easier to be able to do these practices, that's a great thing to do. Because that's the actual thing when we put all these things in place is we are products of our environment. And if you surround yourself with a professional healthy chef, with a personal trainer, with somebody that's going to manage your finances, if you have that that you leaning into those doesn't mean you don't have high levels of accountability. You're just doing it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Bill has low levels of accountability. I just don't. He knows where his weakness is, so he's putting the right chess pieces in the right place so that he can win the game.
Yeah.
And that is accountability. Now, what he would do if he didn't have accountability would be like, I have a hard time motivating myself. I know that a personal trainer is motivating to me because I have high levels of accountability to someone external to me, but I'm not going to hire them because that's hard and that makes it uncomfortable for me. And then I have to do that. So it's not that. There's no such thing as the perfect way to navigate this thing, right? There is the framework. And inside the framework, it's the strategies are endless. And I literally mean endless in terms of strategies. But the framework doesn't change. You can just take your best approach for you. You do what you can with what you got for where you are.
And I think embedded in that, in what Bill did and what you're calling out is, and he's actually doing both sides of this, but at least he's doing the other side, which is I think often when we realize that we have this incongruence, right? We've got this idea or ideal of ourselves, and then we've got what our calendar and our bank account prove out. What oftentimes we do is we just layer in a bunch of judgment. And there is that in Bill's question too. Like, I feel like I'm failing by having to hire a personal trainer. And I like the reframe of like, no, that's actually the success is you figured out what you can't do by yourself.
Right.
And you said, what do I need to put in place so that I can do this? Because he's still going to show up. He's still going to do the work. But I think that's my point though, is if we're only judging ourselves and we're not doing anything, then we're failing ourselves. But if we can identify this thing, if we're aware enough to say, you know what, I'm just not good at this thing, and then we take action towards that and not just sit in judgment, not just sit in like, oh, why can't I figure this out? Or I suck. I can't figure out how to get down to the garage 5 days a week or whatever it might be. That's where we run into trouble. But like he solved it. He figured out, okay, there's a hole in my boat over there. What can I jam into that hole? Okay, got it. Now I'm not sinking anymore. That's not a failure. And I would only say to Bill, or I would say to Bill, like, don't judge yourself for that. You solved the problem. You did a good job.
Yeah. It might sound like a failure because you're talking to a couple people that don't struggle with this, right?
Yes.
But Bill, like I struggle with the finance side of things.
Yep.
Which is why I've hired someone, much like you have. I have hired somebody to manage our personal family P&L. Like just I saw the benefit of the way it worked for a business, and I'm doing that for our family. There's no way I would ever be able to do that on my own. I shouldn't say that. That's like selling myself short. But it would be a really big challenge and struggle. And I would not enjoy it. It'd be pulling teeth, just like it would be for you to get in your garage and lift weights 4 times a week. But you created the framework for it. You created the system and the environment for which that to thrive. So again, this is accountability. This is high performance. This is creating the right environment for which we can do the things which truly matter.
We'll be back with more of this conversation in just a few minutes. But first, let's say thanks to a few sponsors that help us make the show possible. We're brought to you this time around by Shopify. Shopify is a game changer for your business. When you think of brands with healthy sales like Chubby's or Aloe or Noble or Magic Spoon, it's not just about the products or marketing, the secret sauce. It's the business behind the business, which is Shopify. Learn more about how Shopify can help your business like it does thousands of others by going to shopify.com/excellence. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout system on the planet, nay, I say, possibly the universe. Making selling easy and efficient with Shop Pay, you can boost your conversions by up to 50%, which means fewer abandoned carts and more sales. Whether your customers are shopping online, in-store, or on their favorite social media platform, Shopify has got you covered. Whenever I have the fortune of working on a project that uses Shopify, I'm always blown away and excited to dive into their vast ecosystem of apps. When you find the right one that does exactly what you need and it's seamless to start using it, the whole process is a real pleasure. If you're serious about growing your business, it's time to upgrade to Shopify. You can start with a trial for just $1 a month. That's right, $1 per month. So head over to shopify.com/excellence and begin upgrading your selling today. We're also brought to you this time around by Lumen. If you're ready to take control of your metabolic health, I've got something incredible for you. Meet Lumen, the world's first handheld metabolic coach. Visit lumen.me/excellence to learn more and to save yourself 15% off your purchase. To get started with Lumen, you've just got to breathe into it every single morning, and it'll reveal if you're burning fats or you're burning carbs. With this insight, Lumen then provides you with a customized nutrition plan to optimize your day. The app also provides a really nice, seamless way to actually track your nutrition throughout the day. It doesn't just stop there, though. Use Lumen before and after workouts or meals to get real-time updates on your metabolism. It's like having a personal coach guide you to better health, improved energy, and more restful sleep. Plus, it adapts to your body's changes like menopause, ensuring your metabolism stays on track. Remember, Lumen isn't a quick fix or just a weight loss tool. It's about understanding and enhancing your metabolic health. So if you're committed to making lasting lifestyle changes, Lumen is your go-to companion. Head to lumen.me/excellence for 15% off your purchase. That's lumen.me/excellence. Don't wait to start your journey to better health. Okay, let's get back into this conversation. It's not the point of all this, and the point of being a high performer, or the road to being a high performer, is not you do everything yourself. You are ultimately self-reliant. You need no one. I can't think of a single high performer who sits in a room by themselves and accomplishes anything. Everything we do, whether it's our family or our coworkers or our teammates or whatever it is, it's the awareness of knowing, where do I need help? And then it's having the bravery to actually ask for it, or in Bill's case, to hire it, right? It's the goal here isn't 100% self-reliance. That's not what a high performer is. A high performer is somebody who accomplishes the thing that they set out to accomplish. Nobody cares if you got help along the way. They only care You should only care, did I accomplish the thing I set out to accomplish? In Bill's case, did I get healthier? Did I get stronger? Did I get fitter? Did I get to the gym 27 times last month? Whatever the quote unquote performance is, as long as you didn't cheat, which clearly you're not doing, you've accomplished the thing. You are a high performer.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there as well. As it dove into do you have the awareness, right? And it comes back to our awareness, intention, and action. So do you have awareness of what it is that is most important? You've said health is one of those things. Cool. Do you have awareness of what health looks like and what it is that you begin with the end in mind, what you want to get to? And then the intention. What's the strategy? What is the strategy? What is the game plan for us to achieve that end? And the strategy, again, is up for grabs. Like, you can choose the strategy and then you act on it. And that's the big thing. If you hired the personal trainer, but you bailed on them two out of the 3 times a week, that's the lack of accountability. And it does come down to, remember that, like the congruence thing, accountability is a matter of action. It's a matter of doing the deeds. We so often give ourselves credit for the thoughts and the words. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to have a 6-pack next summer. I'm going to look ripped. I'm going to start doing CrossFit. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to do 75 hard. I'm going to start that diet, always on a Monday, right? Never today. And the hard part about that is, it's kind of a chemical misfire in our bodies, is that we get a dopamine response talking about it. You get the feel goods of talking about it. When you talk about it enough, you feel like you're actually accomplishing the goal, but you're not. You haven't done any. There's nothing concrete yet. I say yet because talking about it's not wrong. But until you put one foot in front of the other, until you lace up your shoes, until you put pen to paper, until you make the phone call, nothing's actually happened. Yet we can trick ourselves into feeling like it. And that's lack of accountability. There are a lot of people that have this incongruence in their lives because they talk about it all the time. This was the show me your calendar. They talk about how health matters to them. And they talk about how they try to eat healthy. And they talk about, but okay, cool. I'd love to say, show me your whatever, that macro tracker that everyone uses.
Like MyFitnessPal?
MyFitnessPal. Show me MyFitnessPal. Right.
Yeah.
I don't. But even more so is like, okay, show me your pantry. Show me your cupboard. Like, you say that health and eating well is really important to you, and for your kids, the health of your kids is really important to you. Cool. Show me their packed lunch. Like that's what matters. It's not what we talk about. It's the actual things.
Stephen Covey has this great line. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Okay.
Say that again. Yeah.
The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. And then it makes me think of one thing, and maybe we can start to wrap up here. But I think it's a Tony Robbins thing, which is that we have to figure out how to make promises to ourselves and then to keep those promises. And then at least this last part I know is Tony Robbins, which is, and then you don't negotiate with your mind. And then you don't let your mind talk you out of the promise that you made to yourself. And it's those two parts that, again, when we're accountable to somebody else, what we're doing is I'm making a promise to you, and then the consequences of me breaking that promise are X, Y, and Z, depending obviously what I promised you. And the problem when we promise things to ourselves is that nobody knows really that we broke them, and there's no external consequence. I don't ever have to say, sorry, coach, I know I told you I was coming yesterday at 2, but what did I do instead? I sat on the couch instead, right? Whatever it might be. When we make promises to ourselves, it's so easy to break those promises because there isn't that external degree of consequence. But that's really what it is. We've got to learn how to make promises to ourselves. We've got to learn how to keep those promises. And in that action we have to learn how not to negotiate with our minds.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the life of alignment, right? This is that final piece of the connection with ourselves. Truly, what is truly most important to us. Decide what that is, and then hold yourself accountable. And you can use whatever tools you want, trainers or intermittent fasting to make sure you're just not eating anything. So it's like there's plenty of tools that you can use to help you with this process. And the tools are up for grabs. Again, strategy is all fair game. But what we want to do is, again, this is so key, not just only for our own belief system about ourselves. Are we living a life of integrity? Meaning, are we doing the right thing regardless? That's to me, that's the best definition of integrity, is like, are you doing the right thing regardless of how big or small or how hard or easy it is? Well, that is like I said that I want to eat healthier. So the next time unhealthy food is presented to me, a life of alignment is me saying no to that unhealthy food. All of a sudden, now we're starting to keep this tiny little promise to ourselves. You're at a dinner and everyone starts ordering dessert. You saying no is in alignment with that. That is a good thing. Now, just because everyone else is, you don't want that tiny little bit of potential social awkwardness of like someone going, oh, come on, order the ice cream. And you go, no, thanks, I'm actually all set. And then it's over, honestly. That's how easy that is. And now you've just made that little promise to yourself and you've kept it. And now you're living in alignment with what you said is important. This is us starting to create that connection with ourselves. This is what we mean by train, eat, sleep, think, and connect. The connect with what's most important and line up your actions with that belief system.
Love it. Thank you, Bill, for the question. Thank you, everybody who sends us questions. The best way to do so, chasingexcellence.email. Get on the free newsletter list. We send out an email on the weekends with a link to a form, and you can ask us as many questions as you've got across the 5 factors, and we'll do our best to get them into future episodes. We thank you in advance. We love your questions. We try to get them in as often as we can. Ben, thank you. We'll be back soon with a brand new episode of Chasing Excellence.
Okay, it's official. We are very much in the final sprint to Election Day. And face it, between debates, polling releases, even court appearances, it can feel exhausting, even impossible to keep up with. I'm Brad Milkey. I'm the host of Start Here, the daily podcast from ABC News. And every morning, my team and I get you caught up on the day's news in a quick, straightforward way that's easy to understand, with just enough context so you can listen, get it, and go on with your day. So, kickstart your morning. Start smart with Start Here and ABC News, because staying informed shouldn't feel overwhelming.